Uh, the second, I think, is very fortunate, and there are some great opportunities here with some new ideas and new people that do some great work here. So I'm excited about that, the work that she's going to do, and then what she's going to bring to the table. So we definitely want to support her. Now, there's nothing great about me. I haven't done anything great. I'm just fortunate. But I remember when I was in school, high school, it's been a long time ago. There was a song that always stuck out with me, and it says, "No man is an island.
That's right.
No man stands alone."
That's right.
And I like that because Black history, African American history, it's not just U.S. history, but it's world history. African Americans have made great contributions throughout the world. Mm-hmm. And the truth of the matter is that not one of us in this room, not one of us, Black, white, Asian, doesn't make a difference. Not one of us has done anything by ourselves.
That's right.
Not one of us. Somebody helped us along the way. Somebody lent us a hand. And that's what that song means to me. No one is an island. No one stands alone. You cannot make it in this world by yourself. I don't care who you are, where you come from. I don't care what your background is. And everybody makes a contribution, good or bad or indifference. Everybody makes a contribution, but it's up to us to build on those contributions. And that's what we're going to do in this new 2nd Congressional District. We're going to build on it. And we're going to make things better. And with your help, brothers keepers, with your help, Democratic Party, and with your help for the constituents, we are going to listen to your voice, and we're going to work to address and meet your needs. Councilman, we're with you.
All right.
We're with you. Give us a plan, and we'll work the plan. And we can tell you what we can do. We're just so thankful for being here. Thank you all for recognizing me and just giving me an opportunity to serve. I thank you all for putting up. I tell Greg and Ricky that all the time. Thank you for putting up with me and just giving me an opportunity to serve. And my friend, the mayor of Richmond, outstanding man. I followed his career years ago. I remember he was the chair over the DPPA. I remember him when he came in and everything. And I've been following his career, doing some outstanding stuff. I'm getting ahead of the program. I know I am. but I'm just excited to be around these good people and the opportunity to work with them and the opportunity to serve you. Broadband is a hot issue in Franklin. We're going to address it. We made sure that money is available from the state, and we're going to address that, and we're going to give the local government the support they need to start breaking ground, getting that infrastructure in. We've also passed legislation to help to make broadband more affordable, help persons that might need a system of broadband. So we're working on those issues. We know there are farming issues. There are a lot of needs that need to be addressed. And at another time, I'm going to sit down and listen to you, and we're going to go to work for you. Again, history is everybody making a contribution, good or bad. And when it's bad, or when it's indifferent, we're going to do what we can to improve it, to make it better. God bless you all. Thank you all for giving me time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Sykes. Thank you so much, Councilman McLemore, as well as thank you so much, Delegate Jenkins. We get ready to continue to move forward. I believe our psalmist has gotten here, our soloist has gotten here at this time. Also, get ready. We're getting ready to receive a solo from the phenomenal voice of Miss Nicole Goodwin. Receive her as she comes to this moment.
We have come this far by faith. We're leaning on the Lord, trusting in His holy word. He's never failed me yet. Oh, I can't turn around. We've come this far by faith. We have come this far by faith. We're leaning on the Lord. That's why I'm trusting in His holy word. The Lord He's never failed me yet. I'm crying, can't turn around. We've come this far by faith. Don't be discouraged when trouble is in your life, for He will take your burdens and move all misery and strife. That's why we have come this far by faith. Oh, and I'm leaning on the Lord. That's why I'm trusting in His holy word. For the Lord He's never failed me yet. I'm crying, can't turn around. We've come this far by faith. Just the other day, I heard a man say he didn't believe in God's holy word. But I can say that the Lord has made a way, and He's never failed me yet. That's why we have come this far by faith. Oh, and I'm leaning on the Lord. That's why I'm trusting in His holy word. The Lord He's never failed me yet. I'm crying, can't turn around. We've come this far by faith. I'm crying, can't turn around. We've come this far by faith.
We definitely come this far by faith, leaning on the eternal, everlasting God. Amen. Amen. Thank you so much for blessing us with that progression in that solo. All right. Did y'all get a chance to look at the front of the booklet, the beginning of the program? You get to see so many familiar and famous faces for helping to make significant contributions to our community and, dare I say, the world. And if it had not been for these persons, we wouldn't be here today. But we don't just want to acknowledge them, who we would dare to say are a part of our past, historical part of our past. But we also want to take this opportunity to recognize those persons who contribute to our community right here within the city of Franklin. So this time I have the distinguished honor to present and to recognize two, well actually kind of three distinguished guests and honorees for their emeritus recognition. At this time I would like to read and introduce none other than Mr. Anthony King. His wife has joined us today. But as she's coming up, I would love to read a quick history and a quick bio for him. Mr. Anthony King was born on June 6, 1934, in Albright County to his proud parents, the Reverend George Peace and Odell Stanso Peace King. Martin Luther King Jr. said, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? Anthony S. King seemed to live by this statement as he spent his life serving others. Upon graduation from Hayden High School, his college life at Hampton Institute, majoring in chemistry, led to the United States Air Force. He served our country, y'all, where he trained at Kessler Air Force Base in Biloxi, Mississippi. He learned everything he could about electronics. In turn, he trained generations of students in electronics at Norfolk Naval Shipyard and as an adjunct instructor at the illustrious Camp Community College, aka Paul B. Camp Community College. I used to work there, y'all. Woo! He has served his hometown in many roles, including chartered Grand Knight with the St. Jude Catholic Churches, Knights of Columbus, Vice President of Franklin Kiwanis Club, leader of St. Jude's Choir, chaplain and president of the Franklin Sportsmen Association, and the president and member of the Franklin Redevelopment and Housing Authority. Anthony S. King has gone on and preceded us in death and demise, but yet he's not here. His legacy still stands. At this time, I would like to present to his amazing and phenomenal wife and a plaque and award in his honor for all that he has done and all that you have done for our community. Y'all give her a round of applause as she comes at this time. We're going to ask for our president, our chair of the Franklin City Democratic Committee to please come, and he's going to present you, and we're going to present you with an award to honor the legacy of your phenomenal husband. Thank you so much. Matter of fact, do you have anything you would like to say?
I'll keep this very brief, as Tony would probably want me to do. Good morning to everyone. It's good to see all of you here, and I'm delighted to be here also. I would just like to say thank you to the Democratic Committee, Ricky, and especially Mr. Matthew Moore, because when we got started, after we moved in Franklin 20 years ago now, we're home. We moved back home to Franklin, and we did not have an active Democratic Committee, and that was what Tony's heart was set on, being sure that we were involved civically and politically in the city of Franklin. And I really appreciate the fact that you have recognized him this morning, because it was difficult for him to get the, go to Richmond and get everything that we needed to have done in order to bring a Democratic committee, active Democratic committee to Franklin City. And we were delighted that we had people like Ricky Sykes, Greg McLemore, and many others across the community who worked with us in establishing a very active Democratic committee. You can tell that by what we have here this morning. When Tony deceased, so he passed in December, we had done everything almost together throughout our marriage. We were married 52 years. And we, for some reason, God had it to be that I was not there. He passed because I was in the hospital also. I got sick while he was in the hospital. So my children had to plan his service and everything, Mr. Cofield. And there's one important thing, and Representative Laurie, you would appreciate this. He, in his 60s, went to Vietnam after he had served in the Air Force. With the crisis, war in Vietnam, he decided that he wanted to be there because some of his buddies were still there. So he was working for Philco Ford as a technician in electronics, and he went to Vietnam for 3 years. And my children did not put that in the obituary. But I did want to say that this morning, because if there were anything that he did that really propelled him to a recognition of service for our city, because we are natives of Franklin City, for Franklin, the state, and the national level, it was that service. So I thank you this morning for your recognition of him. Thanks so very much.
Ms. King, this is Luke talking. It's from the Franklin City Democratic Committee. We love Mr. King, and he's very instrumental to the Democratic Committee. So with that being said, thank you.
Thank you so very much.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much, Mrs. King, and we thank you for sharing and lending your husband to the community for so long in his honor and his reverence. At this time, like I said, we have three persons. I say technically three, although we have two on the program. We have three persons that we'll be honoring, and this next couple happens to be a husband and wife. That's why I say three. At this time, it is my distinguished honor to present and to just share a little bit of information about Mr. Elvin and Mrs. Ethel Vaughn. In 1958, Mr. Elvin Vaughn opened the doors of the Elvin Vaughn Funeral Home to serve the citizens of Franklin, Southampton County, and the surrounding areas. He, along with his wife, pledged to provide service to families and to support our city. Ethel M. Vaughn was the daughter of Ephraim and Annie Mutz of Scotland Neck, North Carolina, y'all. Ephraim Mutz was the first African-American mortician and funeral director in North Carolina. He, along with one of his sons, Ephraim Mutz Jr., provided services to the families of the African-American communities from Virginia and North Carolina. The original structure of the Mutz Funeral Home still remains on Main Street in Scotland Neck, North Carolina, to this very day. After completing her elementary and secondary education, Mrs. Vaughn matriculated to Bennett College and Fayetteville State Teachers College, both historically Black colleges and universities, where she earned a Bachelor's of Art degree in education. She further studied at the College of William and Mary in the illustrious big city of Williamsburg, Virginia, the University of Virginia, and Cortez Peters Business College. Mrs. Vaughn was one of the first African-American females to hold a position with the Department of the Navy at the Pentagon. Her position was high level, where she was escorted by security and driven to various assignments. Y'all share VIP treatment. Mrs. Vaughn returned to North Carolina to pursue a career in education and taught in the public schools in Robbinsville, North Carolina. On June 21st of 1958, Ethel and Elvin Vaughn were married, thus beginning her contributions to the city of Franklin. She continued her career as an educator with the Franklin City Public School System. Community involvement included membership at First Baptist Church, member of the family choir under the direction of Mrs. Violet Harrison, wife of Dr. A.B. Harrison, the first African-American mayor of the city of Franklin. She was also a member of the Cosmonettes Social Club, which was a group of African-American women of Franklin that served the city through various community service projects. She was a charter member of the Lambda Psi Omega chapter of Alpha, Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I'm a little biased, y'all. Got a lot of AKs in my family. An international service organization that was founded on the campus of Howard University in Washington, D.C. in 1908, and is the oldest Greek letter organization established by African-American college-educated women. Mrs. Vaughn served as a member of the Franklin City Planning Commission and Ruth Camp Campbell Library Board. The doors of the Elvin Vaughn Funeral Home opened in 1958. Mr. Vaughn's mission was to serve the citizens of his community. Born and raised in the illustrious big city of Franklin, Virginia, Mr. Vaughn was the son of Charlie and Ethel W. Vaughn and completed his elementary and secondary education in Franklin, graduating from Hayden High School here in Franklin. Upon graduation from high school, Mr. Vaughn attended the illustrious home of the Green and Gold, Norfolk State University, a historically Black college and university before serving his country in the armed forces during World War II. Wow, that's amazing. Upon his return from the war, Mr. Vaughn attended the Epworth College of Mortuary Science in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Upon his graduation, he returned to Franklin to open his own business, thus becoming one of the city's influential African-American citizens. Mr. Vaughn was a member of the First Baptist Church, where he served as deacon. I believe for some time he was the head deacon, emeritus. He was a member of the Franklin City School Board. In 1995, Mr. Vaughn was unanimously named to the Franklin City Council and was the only African-American member on the council at that time. He was asked to join the mayoral race as a mayor of the city of Franklin. However, Mr. Vaughn did not pursue the race at that time because of health concerns. However, he remained active in the community and within the city as a mentor to those who followed. Mr. Vaughn was known for his kindness, commitment, and compassion for the citizens of this community. They will surely be missed. They've made monumental steps within our community. And at this time, in order to receive this honor and this award, his very own daughter, their very own daughter, Miss Noletta, will be coming to receive it. Y'all give a round of applause. She's coming to this time. We're going to ask our chairman to come and present the award once more. And if you have anything to say, you can definitely say anything.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome, and thank you for attending. Thank you both, thank you all for this honor. It really makes me proud that my mother and my father both are being recognized this morning for their contributions to the city of Franklin. Again, my father and my mother love the city dearly. And as you heard in the biography for both of them, one of their missions was to make sure that the city of Franklin was well represented, that they served the community, that they gave back to the community what the community gave to them. And for that, I'm appreciative of it. And if they were here now with us, they'd be very appreciative of it as well. I always hear some of my mother's former students talking about how they would not be where they are today if it was not for the values that she instilled upon them while educating them. I had a former coworker that was saying, well, I don't know, want to go this far, but Mom had an iron ruler. She did not use that for anyone, okay? But it was her teaching tool. And one of her former students asked me every time, have you found it? Have you found it? I know how to multiply because of your mother and that iron ruler. She did not use it, but it was part of her teaching tool, and they want it. They want it as a part of their memory of what my mother did for them. My father, the same thing with my dad and the various families that he has served here in the city of Franklin. Every time I meet someone or come across someone, they tell me what my father did for them. During their times of sorrow, my father was able to bring a level of comfort to them during a very difficult time. And that's what everyone needs when they are experiencing sadness or grief of any sort. My father made it a point to make sure that each and every family that he served was taken care of in one way or the other. And I will not go any further, but again, I thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Sykes. Thank you, Reverend Hofield. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for the honor. It is most greatly appreciated. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for lending your parents to us for all of those years. They are definitely missed. If anybody ever met Mr. and Mrs. Vaughn, they didn't play. They took it like it was. They were very blunt, very upfront. You didn't have to guess what they were thinking because they were going to tell you. And so we thank you so much for sharing your parents and lending them to us for the years of service that they spent, as well as to Mr. King also. At this opportunity, this time, I have the chance to recognize a phenomenal group and a very phenomenal entity here within the city of Franklin. And that group is known as the Brothers Keepers. Just to share a little bit of information with you about them, the Brothers Keepers is an organization of men that is God-centered and centered around the principles of integrity, excellence, service to others, and trustworthiness. We are men, this is their statement, we are men that revere admirable characteristics in others, such as being compassionate, committed, caring, principle-centered morals, and a balanced and divine purpose to be life changers in our men of the community of Franklin and the adjoining cities and counties. Brothers Keepers was a spiritual vision that the phenomenal Dr. Anthony Goodwin was given by God to form a men's organization that would be a positive influence here within the city of Franklin, Alawite County, and Southampton County as well. Dr. Goodwin organized the group and they met at the Annex building on South Street with approximately 25 men. Now, it's hard to get a group of men together at one time. They did it on the first time around. Good gracious. That was monumental in itself. Brothers Keepers is an organization that is involved in the juvenile and domestic courts, court services, Bon Secours Medical Group, and other city organizations. Brothers Keepers have gone to approximately 40 men. They grew, y'all. They doubled, almost doubled. Good gracious. Men of various social and economic backgrounds, from restaurant owners, owners of trucking companies, city council members, retired police officers, pastors, Department of Corrections, and various other principalities. So if you're ever in legal trouble, if you're ever in spiritual trouble, or if you ever need some transportation with trucking, they got you. That's the group that you need to connect with here within the city. They are involved in feeding the community and have had functions that have fed over 500 people during Thanksgiving and other holidays. We strive to be a positive influence for young men as men who are looking for direction and guidance in the lives of others. Brothers Keepers have had a pastor, judge, a host of pastors, judge, police chief, financial advisor, delegates speak at our bi-monthly meetings that have an impact not only to our members, but to the family structure as well as their attitude towards the police, city officials, and the church environment from negative to positive. Brothers Keepers are growing and have members from Norfolk and other Tidewater cities as a part of their inner structure and governing body. One of our most significant and pivotal mottos is no excuses. We strive to be a positive and structured spiritual organization that will continue to be effective in Franklin, Southampton, and Alawite County. The Good Honorable Reverend Dr. Anthony Goodwin is the president, and Pastor Keith Rose is the vice president. Along with them are the Women of Grace and Dignity. They ain't leave ladies out. They ain't want y'all to think that y'all ain't got no men. Ladies are in there too. They are the Women of Grace. I like that. The Women of Grace and Dignity that are an extension of their mission and vision to help the community in the areas that young women and ladies in family situations that may need special attention as well. At this time, I would like to ask the entire group that is represented with Brothers Keepers to please rise. And at this time, can we give them a round of applause? And full disclosure and disclaimer, I would have known y'all put a hoodie, I would have put a hoodie on too. I would have came. Y'all got one in the car. Y'all got a feed. But at this time, we would like to honor that of the great pastor, Dr. Anthony Goodwin, at this time to receive the award on behalf of the Brothers Keepers. And we're going to ask our chair to come and join us, as well as our councilmen to come and join us to present this award also. Everything so far?
We're going to ask the group to be able to come. It will be robbery for me to stand here as though I've done it all. I'm going to ask every member of Brothers Keepers in the present and Women of Grace and Strength and Dignity, if you would come forward. I'm going to ask them if they would come, that they would stand with me. Amen. Because this is a group or a team effort. We have a saying, teamwork makes the dream work. And so we are so honored that those members are present and they're being on their way. We preach in the matchless, marvelous name of Jesus Christ. Again, to the great Democratic Party. Again, to our Master of Ceremony. Again, to Congressmen, Councilmen, to our state and local leaders, again, to the president of this Democratic Conference Committee. Can you give us a hand, amen? We just can't say words cannot literally express our deep appreciation or thanks for what you've done today. We are the richer simply because we work together as a team. We thank each of you for recognizing the hard work and the due diligence that have been expressed in this city. We stand not for the awards or for the applause, but we stand because we represent community. When we talk about Black history, we talk about America's history. Thank you. Delegate Clinton, who blessed us this past week, but we also talk about world's history. So we stand to be a part of Franklin's history. Thank you, Honorable Mayor. We thank you, Mayor Franklin. We thank each of you for your kindness and your love that's been displayed in this place today. And my mother used to have a saying, you did not put a crown on our head today, but you put a crown above our head. We hope to grow taller enough to wear such a crown.
Amen.
Amen.
On behalf of the Franklin Democratic Committee, Reverend Goodwin, and members of the Brothers Keepers and Councilman Johnson, social media is a powerful tool. I was at home one night and it was like maybe 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was scanning through Facebook and I came across where you guys, when the storm came, you guys prepared all of that food and stuff and supplies to give to citizens for free. And I think it was the next day I called Ricky and I said, we have got to recognize them at the Black History Month celebration. Thank you for all you do. And I mean, thanks isn't really enough. I'm just really grateful that you guys have taken it upon yourself to step out and do what others wouldn't do. That truly is the work of God, when you're helping other people, not asking for anything in return. So we thank you and we present your organization with this award, the Franklin Brothers Keepers. Give them a round of applause. Would you like to say anything, Councilman Johnson?
Being a part of the Brothers Keepers, I was inspired by the work that they were doing. And being a councilman, I said, whatever I can do to help, I have your back. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all that you do. God bless you. Let's give them a round of applause one more time. They are the recipients of our Community Achievement Award.
At this time, we're going to kind of start moving along, and we have some other certificates or awards we'd like to present. At this time, I'd ask Delegate Jenkins to come back up here, please. Believe it or not, one of the stories I remember about this guy, when I first met him in Richmond, those of you who know me know I'm a very outspoken councilman. Yeah. I'm very pro-African American. And I said, man, you done sold out. And he showed me a picture of when he used to wear his African garb and his kufi and stuff. He said, what you talking about, man? I've just changed. And I learned from that. Sometimes you have to change, be like water, be liquid, fluid, in order to do what you need to do. And that's one of the reasons I have such great respect for him. And it gives me my pleasure to present you with this Distinguished Citizens Award, Certificate of Distinction, to Delegate Clinton Jenkins for Virginia 76th House Delegate District for outstanding service to the citizens of the 3rd Congressional District of the Franklin Democratic Committee. We would like to also recognize and ask one of their members is here, I know, Henry. Henry is one of the members. We would like to give a plaque to the Sportsmen's Association. Henry, would you come up and receive this plaque? I would be Keith Rose, would you stand? Reverend Rose, aren't you a sportsman also? Okay. Okay. Well, Henry, on behalf of the Franklin Democratic Committee, we would like to present this plaque to the sportsmen for all of their support through the years. We couldn't have had our meetings if it wasn't for the sportsmen allowing us to use their facilities. And we just thank you and present that to your brothers on our behalf. Thank you very much.
All right, at this time, we're going to have the phenomenal Ms. Brenda Peterson to come and introduce our Congresswoman. She actually holds the position, Ms. Brenda holds the position as the secretary for the FCDC. And so please receive her at this time as she comes to recognize the phenomenal Congresswoman.
Hello. I think you guys can see the unofficial theme for our program, and that is heart and service and community. And so far, every single person in here, our awards recipients, as well as our distinguished speakers, have had those themes within themselves, which is no different than our next speaker, which is Congresswoman Elaine Luria. She not only is a veteran of 20 years, she is our new District 2 Congressional Congresswoman in DC, which is awesome. She is on a wide variety of committees focusing on veterans' rights, veterans' needs, as well as the January 6th committee. And I'm sure she probably could go on for days about all the things that she is doing for us in our area in DC. So without further ado, could we have a round of applause for our Congresswoman Elaine Luria?
Thank you, Brenda, for the kind introduction, and thank you, everyone, for welcoming me this morning. I'm really, truly humbled by all of the stories that I've heard this morning about community and community service, and just the servants to the community that have been recognized today. So I'm humbled to be standing here before you among such a group of accomplished people who give so much back to the community of Franklin. As Brenda mentioned, and as you probably know, the districts have shifted around a little bit, so I also bring greetings from Congressman Bobby Scott. And I'll say that we work incredibly closely together, and although the districts may have shifted a little bit in areas of Hampton Roads, I think that you will still have the same team representing you in Washington, and I'm excited to reach out and learn about and meet people across so many new parts of the district. So as the second district, covers the entire coast of Virginia. That stays the same. So the Eastern Shore and Virginia Beach are still part of the district, but it used to stretch through parts of Norfolk and all the way up to Williamsburg on the peninsula. That shifted around a little bit, and now it stretches across the North Carolina border. So parts of Chesapeake, as well as Suffolk, Isle of Wight, Franklin, and a little bit of Southampton County. So it's wonderful to be here and meet folks in the new part of the district, and look forward to listening, learning, and hearing the things that are important to you. As mentioned, I've been serving in Congress for 2 terms now. I serve as the Vice Chair on the Armed Services Committee, as a veteran myself, and understanding how important the Navy and military are, not only for our national defense, especially looking in the light of the unprovoked aggression from Putin within Ukraine, and our hearts are definitely with those in Ukraine today who are being senselessly attacked. I also serve on the Veterans Affairs Committee, where I chair the Disability Subcommittee. So looking out for all the veterans healthcare and disability-related issues. I serve on the Homeland Security Committee, and a very, very big responsibility I feel serving on the Select Committee for the January 6th investigation. I think that we cannot stand for those who have tried to overthrow our government through violence, through undermining the election. And it's just a huge responsibility, and I think something very important that we do to protect the future of our democracy. And as we're here to celebrate Black History Month, I just reflected last week, because I saw last week was also the birthday of the late John Lewis, and I had the opportunity to serve with him for a brief time in Congress. And as we're pushing forward to try to protect voting rights for those around the country, for the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, which we've passed in the House twice now, and really trying to keep that pressure on to get that codified into federal law to make sure that we can protect people's rights. And I know that my colleagues in Richmond are doing so much work there as well, where there are those among us, not in this room, but that we're trying to roll back so many things that have been done in Virginia to help people vote. And the list is very long. The Virginia Senate essentially held the line on those things to protect our voting rights in Virginia. So we need that, and we need to continue to work together, the federal, the state, the local level. It's great to be here with the mayor, the city council members, Mayor Stoney coming down from Richmond as well. All of us are a team, and we're all working for the same things for our community. So it's a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to this being one of many visits in the very near future. So thank you again for
being with us on today. Listen, programs are always subject to change. We want to make a minor difference and change, slight change to the program. At this time, we want to allow our mayor, that of Mr. Frank Rabel, to come up and to just share a couple of words to address our city and to address us here within the community. Please receive him as he comes at this time.
Like an afterthought. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate everyone coming out. I really appreciate the fact that Congressman Gloria came out. I think it's really going to be an opportunity for us. Clint, always good to see you. Mayor, welcome to the big city. Again, thank you all for coming in. And the recognitions, I'll take this office. The recognitions today were very much not only appreciated, but so well deserved. And so thank to all the families that were represented today for what they're doing. And Tony and your group and what they're doing is just wonderful. So again, thank all of you for coming. We look forward to working with everybody. And thanks. And I apologize, but I'm supposed to be seeing my daughter off about 15 minutes ago. But I'm going to stick around just to see what the mayor has to say for a few minutes. Maybe I can pick up some good tips.
All right. At this time, we will have the phenomenal Miss Rakaya Sykes to come recite a poem by Maya Angelou, and Still I Rise.
All right.
Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
So I will be reading, and still I rise. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod on me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with glue? 'Cause I walk like I got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and just like suns, with the certainty of tides. Just like hope springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful pride? Does my sexiness upset you? Oh. Don't take it to heart, 'cause I laugh as if I got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like life, I'll rise. Does my sexiness offend you? Oh. Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the hut of history's shade, I rise. Up from a past rooted in pain, I rise. A black ocean leaping wide, welling, swelling, and bearing in tide. Leaving behind the nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak miraculously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the hope and I am the slave. Oh, here I go. I rise, I rise, I rise. Thank you. Use my dad.
Now, if I say everybody got all that energy from me, y'all be great. Okay, I'm here to bring up our keynote speaker, Mr. Lamar Stoney, Mayor of the City of Richmond. So, with that being said, let's move right along. Okay, Lamar M. Stoney made history in 2016 as the youngest mayor ever elected to serve in the City of Richmond. Mayor Stoney grew up in Hampton Roads, Virginia, and was the first of his family to graduate high school and college. Since graduating from James Madison University, he devoted his career to leadership and public service. He served as the executive chair of the Democratic Party of Virginia and the first African-American Secretary of the Commonwealth. the leader of the Commonwealth oldest, most public facing office. As secretary, he was the driving force behind the restoration of the civil and voting rights for returning citizens. Now, as mayor, Mayor Stoney is committed to building one Richmond, an exclusive, competitive, and equitable city where everyone has the opportunity to succeed no matter where they're from, what they look like, how they worship, who they love. Mayor Stoney is the focus. Mayor Stoney has focused on his efforts on funding the future, making a large investment in education in a quarter of a century, building 3 new schools in communities of color, supporting ambitious paving and road paving improvement plans, and increase Richmond's municipal equity index score, the most of any city in the nation in 1 year. Mayor Stoney remains committed to delivering quality service to the city, eliminating the vast racism, and ensuring the high quality of life in the city of Richmond for all its residents. So thank you. With no further ado, Mayor DeVar Stoney.
Give another hand for Richard, please, everyone. All right, I gotta say this, Franklin Democrats, you have a persistent chairman. Am I wrong?
You're right about it.
A persistent chairman. I know how many years Ricky Sykes been calling my office in Richmond. And everybody tells me, there's a Mr. Sykes who's left a message for you, and this was going on for weeks and weeks and weeks, years and years. So I'm glad that I'm able to get down to Franklin again. So give him a round of applause, y'all. And I would be remiss if I didn't recognize my fiance as of Tuesday, the beautiful Brandy Washington. Thank you for joining me here in Franklin. And I gotta say, it's good to be back in Franklin.
All right.
I grew up in the 757.
Yeah.
On the peninsula.
Yeah.
Played football for Tabb High School.
Yeah.
So I had to come down here and rough y'all up a couple times. Played quarterback and I had to come down to Armory Field, right?
That's right. That's right.
And I had to do my thing to the Broncos a couple times. So if you are a graduate of Franklin High, I want you to know when I was in high school, I got y'all a couple times. I threw a couple touchdown passes. I ran a couple touchdowns in. But you know what I would always remember in visiting Franklin was the smell.
That's money.
And I was like, I thought there was an unfair advantage while we played. I thought y'all did that on purpose. Well, we still got the W, but no, it's good to be back in Franklin as well. It's good to be back here for this momentous occasion for Black History Month. I would be remiss if I didn't recognize my friends, Clint Jenkins. Thank you, Clint, for your service in the General Assembly. Also, you let me know you need some help to be the next state senator in this area as well.
Yes, thank you.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right.
And I got
the same goes. The same goes to you, Congresswoman Lurie, as well. You all are very, very lucky. You're getting one of the best.
Yeah.
You had the best in Bobby Scott, and you're getting one of the best in Elaine Lurie as well. So, Elaine, let me know how I can help you as well as you move towards Election Day here in November of 2022. As I stated, this is a momentous occasion, Black History Month. And as was stated already before, that Black history is American history.
Yeah.
Black history is American history. And as the delegate said, it's also world history as well. And I have to say, these 28 days should not be taken for granted, but we should be celebrating Black history 365 days a year.
That's right. That's right.
And it concerns me, delegate, when the governor creates executive orders to essentially erase what they believe are divisive topics to be taught in school.
Yeah.
And these divisive topics sometimes involve talking about the issue of race, issues that slavery was born from, discrimination, prejudice. And so if you're not watching what's going on in Richmond, I think you got to pay attention, Franklin Democrats, because there are folks out there who choose to use the power of executive order, or sometimes they've even tried by legislation to sort of erase history. Erase history. And we all know, we've been taught this, that we were born with it, that we stand on the shoulders of giants. Heroes and sheroes. Many are on the front page of our program today. One of those heroes of mine actually is one of my namesakes. My name is LeVar Marcus Stone. My mother named me after LeVar Burton because she thought he looked good on Roots. He went off to do Reading Rainbow and Star Trek. And my father contributed to my name as well by giving me Marcus, after Marcus Garvey. There's a portrait of Marcus Garvey that hangs on my wall in my living room back at home because it reminds me of Black empowerment. But also, both names, LeVar and Marcus, reminds me of Black excellence. And you all know that these Black stories, they're not unique. We have heroes in our own family. We have heroes in our background and our ancestry. Some at times that go unnoticed, who are anonymous. The individuals who were a part of the migration, the forced migration from the west coast of Africa to get to the coast of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Some did not make it, but I still believe they are heroes and sheroes that should not be unrecognized. And we hold that spirit of those individuals with us each and every day. In order for us to get to where we are today, and here's the thing, we all have to recognize there has been progress. But we want more progress. Am I wrong?
That's right.
Do we want more progress?
Yes.
We want more progress. But we have to recognize that there are still obstacles that stand before us as we stand here in 2022. We saw that loud and clear over the course of the last couple of years. But we've been seeing that for many, many years. We have produced a lot of products. We've produced a lot of individuals who have become a product of hard work and resilience. And I tell you about the resilience. If we could get from where we were, slavery, bondage, to be here today, to have a first Black president, to have a first Black woman, to will be appointed, to be the Supreme Court justice, that is resilience. That is resilience. And that is also excellence as well. You know, my father told me to choose not to be a hidden figure, right? He wanted me and my brother to excel, and he always told us essentially what we tell a lot of our kids, right? The American dream: you work hard, you keep your nose clean, and you can do anything you put your mind to. And despite my parents being both teenagers, my mother was 16, my father was 18 when I was born, I had the great fortune of being raised by my grandmother. And she moved us from Long Island, New York to the Hampton Roads region, seeking opportunity for us. And although I grew up on free and reduced lunch, there were times I could not participate in field trips, didn't have enough money to take my books home when I was in middle school, elementary school, high school. I became the first in my family to graduate from high school, the first in my family to go to college, the first in my family to graduate from college. See, my story is not unique. It is not extraordinary. I was able to go off and pursue my dream, that is to get involved in public service, help people get elected, get the right people in office. And that's why I had an opportunity. I met a number of these individuals here. Mr. King. Mr. King was one of the good Democrats when FCDC, Franklin City Democratic Committee, was just on the brink. He helped bring it back to life. I'm glad you celebrated him today. I've traveled this whole entire state because of what I was able to do in college and gave me an opportunity to meet so many different people. And I took that into public service. When Governor McCall was elected, he asked me to be the Secretary of the Commonwealth. And I didn't tell you this earlier, but my father was a returning citizen, a former offender, someone who made a mistake early in his life. And one of the individuals believe that one mistake in your life should not imprison you for your entire life.
Amen. Amen.
See, we would not be here today if we didn't forgive. We didn't believe in redemption and forgiveness. Right? And there's no community in this country that forgives like we do. So it's always great to see our forgiveness and redemption essentially practiced by those in the General Assembly, by those who are our chief executives and our governor. And so when I was Secretary of the Commonwealth, it is still the greatest accomplishment of my career and my life, is to help Governor McAuliffe restore the rights of more than 150,000 individuals here in the great state of Virginia. Still one of my favorite. So I stand here every day and I wake up every morning. I have to pinch myself that a kid like me, who grew up with two teenage parents, raised by the grandmother, free and reduced lunch, I get to serve as the mayor of the great city of Richmond, the capital of the Commonwealth, the former capital of the Confederacy. And I would not be here if it wasn't for my grandmother's Social Security check, if it wasn't for student loans, merit scholarships. I wouldn't be here without that. My fear is, as we celebrate that Black History Month, is that my story will become less and less common because of laws and policies being pursued at the General Assembly or in Congress. And I think it's our responsibility, I believe it's my responsibility to ensure that there is another person like me, a woman or a man, who can achieve their dream with the help of others. We're not here, and I'll tell you this is all not done by me. Who said it earlier? Someone said it earlier, I forget. Someone said it. This is not, some of this work isn't done by just one individual. You don't just make yourself happen. It doesn't happen that way. There's family, networks, friends, people, volunteers, those who are anonymous who get you here. There were many times where my father said, I lost my job and we're not going to have Christmas. And teachers came together and collected dollars from coaches amongst themselves and surprised me. And many times they didn't look like me. These are teachers who just cared about me. And I thought, you know what, with my life and my career, I've got to give back. What does it say in Luke chapter 12, verse 48? To whom much is given, much is required. And I feel convicted to give back, to serve. And it's not easy. Delegate, it's not easy. Congresswoman, it's not easy. Councilman, it's not easy to serve. But to whom much is given, much is required. And I believe I'm required to serve and give back. And my drive in life is to ensure that there are more people like me, more stories like mine. But also, I recognize that in our work, we have to continue to combat what Dr. King called those three, the triple evils of this world. Racism, economic exploitation, and militarism. Now, I feel like in my life, in my career, my work, I refrain those triple evils. I think about this, the things we need to do to ensure that there are more and more Black stories, more and more stories of those who may grown up in tougher circumstances with the challenges of poverty. What do we need to do to ensure that they can elevate their lives and not only change their trajectory, but change the trajectory of their families as well? We have to continue to be focused on opportunity. I feel like when you're in public service, we are in the opportunity business. Because opportunities make dreams happen. But we have to be intentional when we are talking about providing opportunity to others. Be intentional. And with that intentionality, that creates economic mobility. We want to make sure that everyone's gainfully employed, correct? That we're not living paycheck to paycheck. But we know that there are still folks who are living on the brink as we speak today. We're lucky enough that we can spend hours of our day on a Saturday to be here today and celebrate each other and fellowship. The work of Brothers Keepers knows in this community, there are folks who are living today who are right home right now, starving for a bite. So what can we do as a community, city, state, to elevate all of our people, no matter the color of their skin, who they pray to, who they choose to love? So reframing Dr. King's triple evils, some things I think we can work on. First, I just believe that education has to be the foundation. It was the foundation for me. It was still, even though my parents never graduated from high school, or my grandparents never graduated from high school, it was still a foundation for them. Now, as you've all seen, because of the pandemic, we have a difficult time even getting kids to go to school now. And here's the thing, we recognize that the pandemic has taken a disproportionate toll on our kids, particularly kids who come from low income status. Am I wrong? Sitting in front of a computer every day, we recognize that it took a toll. But right now, it's the time that we have to redouble our efforts to make sure all of our kids get a quality education. I'm proud of my work here, my work in Richmond, where we've contributed more than $40 million in extra funding to Richmond Public Schools. Now, that's not a drop in the bucket. And it's still not enough, because we recognize it takes a whole lot more dollars to educate a child growing up with the challenges of poverty. So we need to redouble our efforts and continue to invest more in the public education.
That's right.
That's why I support the Senate's budget.
That's right.
That adds more for at-risk and more dollars for our classrooms.
That's right.
And we also have to recognize where our kids go to school.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In communities like Franklin, in communities like Richmond, in communities in Southwest Virginia, there are buildings that are more than 50 years old.
Yeah.
Some are 100 years old.
Yeah.
I just had a building in Richmond, a school, built in 1911, just burned down. Yeah. And we never have enough money to do all this at one time. But all I ask for is from the Commonwealth and to give us a plan. I stepped out there, put my neck out there, and the councilman knows this, the mayor knows this. I raised taxes, not an easy thing to do, to ask for more of people's treasure. Right? Hey, I need a little bit more to do X, Y, and Z. But I did that because it is unacceptable. It's unacceptable for our kids to go to schools that are infested with roaches, mice, rats, mold. That's the courage I think we need to practice in all of our communities, but also the leadership of this state as well.
That's right. That's right.
Another problem I think that we can fix with courage is housing.
Go ahead.
Housing. So how do we expect our children to rise, to elevate, if they wake up and go to sleep in an environment that is infested with the same pests, with rats and roaches, and kids are sleeping on floors that's soaked in wastewater?
That's right. That's right.
And then they go to a school just like that. Do you see the barriers I'm talking about to opportunity? We put $10 million in our Affordable Housing Trust Fund. We've built over 3,000 affordable housing units, but still not enough. Still not enough. My city is the home of the highest concentration of public housing between Philadelphia and Atlanta. Unacceptable. 80 years old. Hasn't changed a bit. Federal properties. We have to do better by our people. These are the barriers I'm talking about. These are the triple evils that I think Dr. King was talking about. And one last one I know we all can relate to is the violence in our communities. Let's get this stat right here. In 2015, New York Times did an analysis. For every 100 black women not in jail, there are only 83 black men. The remaining men, 1.5 million, essentially are missing from society. And how are they missing? Early death, we're talking about ages 25 to 54. Early death because of health conditions, underlying conditions, which was illuminated in this pandemic when there were more people of color who were essentially snuffed out by COVID-19 because of their underlying conditions. But also, why are these individuals missing? Why are these men missing? Gun violence, homicides. And the next, as someone said, incarceration. Now, compare that to the white community, where they're on parity. For every 100 white women, there are 99 black white men. So, for me, gun violence and just the proliferation of firearms and guns, I believe in the Second Amendment. I know I'm in Southside. I know I'm off of 58. I know I'm in Franklin. There's sportsmen in the room. I believe in the Second Amendment, but I don't believe in the proliferation of firearms in communities of color. There are laws that we can put on the books that can restrict that proliferation. But once again, it starts with the courage of our leaders to do so. I believe we can also be tough on crime, but also tough on the root causes of crime. And I've already listed the root causes. Housing, education. We go down the list, lack of child care, lack the access to mental health services. These are all things that don't be fixed overnight, but with courage and heart from our leaders, we should expect and ask for them. To me, that is, if we really want to celebrate Black history 365 days a year, that is the sort of leadership that I'm looking for. That I know that Democrats, not just here in Franklin, not just in Richmond, that here in the Commonwealth are looking for. And so today we celebrate, but tomorrow we redouble our efforts to get the right people in the right offices. Because what I've come to find out, that these elections matter. That's right. And democracy is what you put in. You put good into our government, you get good out. You put bad in, well, you get bad out. And we've seen that over and over again. So that's why I believe that us as Democrats, we as Democrats, we have to get back to the basics. No either or propositions, but we can do the both and. We can hold the police accountable and also appreciate the police department. Mm-hmm. We can keep schools open, but do it safely as well. We can be pro-business, but also pro-worker as well. These are all things that are within our power as Democrats. And I know with your help here in Franklin, we can not only just lift up our community, we can lift up the party and also lift up our state. Thank y'all so much.
If we can get the mayor to come back up so we can present him with this award.
Now, I forgot to say, y'all need to come to Richmond sometime too. Good restaurants, good things to do. Y'all gotta get up here.
Councilman McElroy, presentation.
Mayor Stoney, it gives me a great honor to present you with this plaque. It's just a small token in the act of election. I gotta tell y'all, this man, and I'm gonna tell you about this guy in a second, but he gave me such a feeling of pride. You were speaking or attended a Democratic Committee event in Richmond. We were in a mansion, one of those mansions along your road. And I saw this African-American man standing on the steps of that mansion. And I could only imagine what the builders were rolling in their graves. This man was standing on his steps as the mayor of Richmond, Virginia, the capital of the Confederacy. Thank you, brother.